Hey everybody, Captain V from AllPro. I have something I want to show you. Pretty excited about this. One thing about me is I love fishing. I love creating and inventing and doing things and trying to tweak things and make them a little better. And I also like deals, good deals. And that's why a lot of times we bring our products to market at really good prices. We may have to use a less expensive packaging. We may have to buy in a higher volume, something to get those costs down. So we could bring a good benefit and a good price point for the fishermen. One of the things that we did for 2024 was create a reel. Now, why do we create a reel? There's 10,000 reels out there on the market. So, and I'm not going into the reel industry. I'm not going to be competing with Penn. And I don't want to compete with Daiwa. I can never compete with those companies. Shimano can never. They make great products. They really do. Accurate, Avid, I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. But we sell jigging rods. And that came about because we sell slow pitch jigs. And that's the one thing that I do design and we do create are a lot of, slow pitch jigs. Jigs for the Northeast, jigs for the South. And when we've been selling these over the years, people began to ask us about rods to use the jigs. And I don't want to be in the rod business. However, one of the rods that we use, off the rack type of rod, is a goofish rod. And so we sell goofish rods. We like them. I use them. They're on my boat. I run charters. Guess what? If we're jigging, you're using a goofish rod. Love them. If you're want something that's a little more custom made, you're looking for a certain strength, then I would strongly recommend to contact a company called Not Your Rods. This company makes custom rods. I have a couple of them that we've had them made for AllPro. Fabulous rods, just really nice rods. But for the most part, I use goofish rods. Now we've been selling goofish rods. Customers keep coming back and they're like, hey, I like to get another rod, but do you have a reel? I'd like you to buy a reel. And last year, no kidding aside, absolutely no kidding aside, I had a sample goofish rod with my own personal reel on it. And they bought my reel. They wanted everything, the reel and everything. And so that's what it dawned on me. Is it possible for me to create a fishing reel that could bring some real benefits to the fishermen without breaking the bank? Now, let me just take a step backwards. I have the Daiwa Lexus, okay? They are absolutely killer reels. Just great. Workhorse, iron horse, really super. But the price point on these babies brand new today are about $350, $360 today. Little pricey, for a reel, for someone who's like looking for something to just get onto a little jigging reel. And I like to use on my jigging reels a bait casting reel. Why do I go in that direction? When I'm chartering, I don't want to be concerned about the line building up on one side or not. So I like the level line, and the bait casters seem to do the trick for me. I also like the fact that I could get it in a high gear ratio, so I could get it up into the water column a little faster and bring it a little back up to me, a little quick retrieve. You can definitely use spin casters. Spin casters will release it faster. So if you're looking to get something down quick, a spin casting reel is the way to go. For the most part, I don't have that particular need. So I like using a Baitcaster. It's compact, it's neat, clean looking. So that's what I use. And you can also use conventional, you know, Avid, Accurate. They make some really good reels. Pen make really good reels. Again, everything I'm mentioning is 200 plus right there. I also have, you know, your $300 Shimano Trax. I mean, this thing's a Cadillac, an absolute Cadillac. If you want to spend 300 bucks, that's what you're looking at on here. Real pretty, nice size, good looking reel, holds well in the hand. I like them. These are both size 300 reels. So we wanted to make something that was comparable to the Lexa, the Trax, some of the other bait casting reels without busting the bank. So what we did is we got educated and we learned. We contacted our manufacturer overseas and we began speaking with them. What's important in a reel? What can we not, you know, skip any money on, you know, cheap out on? And what could we save a few dollars on? And a couple of things we learned right away was that we need to get our bearings in Japan. That Japan makes these closed, stainless steel closed bearings, and that they are superior to the other bearings that come out of China or out of Indonesia. So we need to go and source the bearings from Japan. The other thing we learned is that the main gear, the large gear here, that takes all the stress from the handle, the cranking, obviously has to be a metal. And most are today. The old days, the really cheap ones, they were made, you know, maybe in a plastic or composite, but most of them are metal. However, a reel like this has stainless steel in it. It's a really super, I'm not quite sure why they go with stainless. I think because it's probably tougher than brass, stronger than brass, so that's why they go with stainless. And it's a little maybe lighter because they can make it thinner. So I think that's because it's not like it's going to rust. I mean, because brass isn't rusting either, right? But they go with stainless steel in these reels. What we did, we found out that not all brass is brass, that they add composites to brass. And there's a thing called hard brass. So for us to get good quality brass gears, we had again source it to Japan. So we made our contacts and we were able to go and get our gears, main gear, the big gear, at Japan from a hardened brass. And that's a big difference because brass could be soft. And on your less expensive reels, that's how they kind of save money. They'll go with a softer brass. And they work, and as long as you don't beat them up and abuse them, they're going to be fine. You'll get away with it for a while. But after some time, you'll get some wear, tear. You'll get a little skipping. If you, I don't really want to say abuse it, but if you really test and, you know, work that reel, you're going to see that you could round off a tooth or so on that big gear. So that's why you really want to go with a hardened brass gear or like a stainless steel one. So what else did we do with this? We got our sealed bearings now, stainless steel, and we got our big gear, the pinion gear there, made out of hard brass. Then what we needed to do is we wanted a really good handle. Why? Not only do you want comfort, but you want power. And this is the thing that really kind of surprised me, where I think you're getting a little bit, an extra little benefit from us. Because we were able to source out a handle that, as you can see, is significantly bigger than the Shimano and clearly bigger than the Daiwa. So we were able to get this longer handle that gives you a larger circumference turning, more power. Yes, we went with an EVA handle knob there. Comfortable, good size. It holds up. They went with a more expensive plastic handle or knob. And they went with an aluminum knob, hollowed out aluminum, even more expensive. So those are the type of things you're paying for. Another thing that you're paying for is, believe it or not, things like this nut. This is a chrome nut that they put on here. And that chrome nut costs money. Even if it's, 15 cents a quarter. By the time it gets to the consumer, it's $1.50. It's crazy on how all these things go up. Same thing here. There's your nut, a chrome nut. What we did is we used a brass nut and we used a plate cover to go over it. Now this plate cover cost us pennies. Not only was it able to lower our cost down, but we were able to make our reel a little lighter. We start, adding a lighter material here in the plastic. We went with a very strong composite frame instead of an aluminum frame. Yeah, aluminum is good and strong, but when you're fishing all day, you'd be surprised the weight difference between these two. We have our aluminum spool, very similar to these spools on here, not any different there. This is something that's a little different that we did. And it's because I had some issues and problems with these reels here. And that is, if you look at the bottom of these reels, there's little holes in here, and here. And that's for you to service it. So you can put some oil in there. The problem, this one actually has 3. There's another one right there. The problem with this, and the reason why I ran into some maintenance issues with these reels, is when you wash them down, water can get in there. Raining, water drips, goes in there. Who's drying that out? No one is. The water breaks down, separates with the grease, the oil that's in there, and then your spool is not moving as nicely, and you don't have such a great free spool. Same thing with this one here. You can see there's a hole here. If you look at the bottom of yours, you can put a little grease. Here's another little hole here. You can put a little grease. What we did is we made it with no holes. We sealed it. We greased it, sealed it. This way, when you wash your reel down, I'm not concerned about you getting water inside of your reel that can rust or corrode components within it. For me, that was, I think, the best way to go about it. And then you're going to say, well, how about maintenance? How am I going to maintain it? All reels eventually has to be maintained, and I'm going to go into that in a moment. We call this the Pro300. We went with a very simple black. By going just all black, we saved you money. This is real pretty. It's got a little gold knob in here, and it's got chrome, and it's blue. This one's really nice. It's blue, and another type of blue and black, silver. But again, that's just money. That doesn't make fish bite. That's not going to make this reel last longer. So we decided just go with complete black. We didn't add any pretty chrome here. We didn't add any soft rubbery cushion in here that could pop out on other reels that now need to be replaced. We went straight forward with a nice clean black reel. The really cool thing about this reel is that you have AllPro backing it up. That's right. We have a 5-year parts and labor warranty for the original owner on our reels. That if anything goes wrong with our reel in 5 years, if you're the original owner, you mail it in to us, we will repair it or replace it, get it back to you within a week or two, and you're off and going without a lot of downtime. The other feature, and I just want to step back because it was important to me. If you look at the Daiwa, this was the only thing that bothered me about the Daiwa, is that the level wind has a, if you can see that there, has a small little hole. And the knots, if you didn't use like an FG knot, you know, or if you're someone who's accustomed to making a little bigger knots with a little bigger profile, you're going to notice from your leader line to your fluorocarbon, you're going to, you know, hit there. And eventually you'll loosen up and untie that knot. It's like the magical knot untier. That's why you'll see, and actually I think Lexa may have changed that in their newest model. I'd have to check on that to confirm, but I think Lexa did change that. I think they realized that's an issue, so they did make it a larger one. You see the Shimano, what they did? Now, believe it or not, that's a more expensive, part right there. It's a larger level wind hole, and that's what we did. We brought in a larger hole to accept your knots coming in. Another important part about these Baitcasters is the second rail. You'll notice that on the level winds, there are 2 rails. And I don't know if I'm getting it on camera or not, but there's 2 rails. You got the main rail that makes it go back and forth, and then you have a rail that kind of guides it on top. And that takes sometimes some stress because of a line being pulled and so forth on there. And you'll see this one is kind of thin, small, that one there. And the Lexa is a little thicker. You probably can't see this buried in there, but there's a guide there that is, I'm going to move it around. You can see it in the back a little better. See that thin metal one there? It's in there. What we did is that we didn't want any failure. So if you can see ours, it is much larger, much thicker than even the $300+ reels. We improved that and we made that even bigger. It's right there. You can see that right there. So a couple of things to think about. So 8-to-1 ratio, we want speed, right? This size one here is, I think 7, what is it, 7-to-6 or 7-to-1? It says 7.6 on here. So I'm not sure. It says 7.6. I know this is 8.1 as well. So these are 2 similar reels. 8-to-1 means 1 time around, 8 times my spool is spinning, collecting it. This will bring in 3.5 feet of line each time you make 1 complete rotation of the handle. So not only do we give you a 5-year warranty with the Pro300, we're so confident about the product because it took us time to put all this stuff together, to piece it together, is we're giving the original owner 5 years of free maintenance. That once a year, you can send us the reel, let us take it apart, clean it, maintain it, and send it back to you. 0 cost to you except postage. You'll have to mail it to us, and there's an $8 fee just to mail it back to you. And we will maintain your reel for 5 years. You get a cleaning every year for 5 years. You have a warranty that lasts for 5 years. And I think for most fishermen, if you get 5 years out of a reel, you're doing pretty good. Now let's talk about the price. With the type of components we have in here, the materials that we use, the fact that we had to source our bearings, gears, and some components from Japan, where this reel is easily could be compared to reels in the $150 to $179 range. But because there's no middleman, and we were able to bring this reel directly to you, we're going to sell them for $80. That's right, $80. $80 gives you a 5-year warranty. That same $80 gives you maintenance for 5 years on the reel. Gives you 25 pounds of drag. That is an insane amount of drag. And we could talk about the drag system a little bit, how we use a multiple layer system for the drag. Very strong, very smooth. I'll be honest with you, unless you're like someone who's into some sort of real experiment of some kind, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between the smoothness of this drag and the smoothness of this drag. I know, we tried it. And that was the go for me when I saw how smooth that drag was and how we were able to get 25 pounds of drag out of this reel. It has your magnetic backlash control, and unlike other ones where you can't figure it out, it's very easy. We actually have an arrow on ours. We show you what the minimum is. We show you what the maximum is. These do not provide that. This one does. This has it, but good luck trying to read that and trying to move that around. It is not easy. Matter of fact, this one, it looks like it's seized from just wear. This is real simple. Most fingers could get right in there and turn that. And what's the purpose of this? For the most part, the purpose of this is for the overspinning of your spool early on the cast. So if you whip this out and before you're at high point, your spool is already flying, you want to adjust this. I would strongly suggest just go right in the middle, because we pretty much preset these. So I would go right in the middle. This here is the tension on the spool. What's this for? Well, this again is also used for casting or dropping your jig down or your lure down. And I touch this for a couple of reasons, and everyone has their own reasons why they do things. I'm going to give you what my 1 or 2 reasons are. Number one is, if I'm casting, if I'm going to actually use this for a casting application, what I like to do so I don't get a backspin from the spool at the end of my cast, not at the going in early, but at the end. That's where what I would do is I would loosen this to the point where my lure drops quickly, but doesn't just fall, where it just smoothly, quickly comes down. At that point, I stop, I cast. You cast all day long. You're not going to get that backlash at the end. If you're getting it a little early, you're going to make the adjustment here. The other reason why I may adjust this dropping down is if I'm jigging. If I'm jigging, I want that jig to get down quicker, like I mentioned earlier in this video about some people will use spin casting reels, spinning reels, because it just opens up and it free spools it right off the spool and you get down quick. Well, you could get a lot more speed out of the Baitcaster if you loosen this up and you drop it. I mean, your spool's just going to rip line off, and it's going to come off real quick. So that would be another application why I would adjust this. But for the most part, once I have it adjusted for the application I'm using, you don't touch it. That is the AllPro 300. I hope you give it a chance. Check it out. The shows we'll have it on our website shortly. Again, $79.99. It's a pretty cool deal. That includes shipping as well, if I didn't mention that earlier. I hope you give it a chance, give it a shot, fish it. I'm Captain V. I will see you on the water.